Every financial decision you've ever made was filtered through an emotion you inherited before you could spell your own name. The way you flinch when you check your bank balance, the guilt that follows a purchase you can afford, the strange tension when someone mentions their salary. All of it was programmed into you by people who were themselves running on borrowed software. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly how that programming works and how to rewrite it at the root. Money touches something primal. Watch how a room shifts when someone brings up what they earn. Shoulders tighten, eye contact changes, voices drop or rise, depending on which side of the number people fall on. That reaction has almost nothing to do with currency. It has everything to do with meaning. Layers of meaning you absorbed before you had any say in the matter. Think about the first memory you overheard through a bedroom wall. Maybe it was an argument you overheard through a bedroom wall. Maybe it was a parent's face when a bill arrived. Maybe it was being told you couldn't have something. And the silence that followed felt heavier than the word no. Those moments didn't teach you about economics. They taught you that money carries danger, shame, or scarcity, and your body learned to respond accordingly. Florence Scovel Shinn wrote about this almost 100 years ago. She described money as a divine idea, a medium of exchange that flows toward those who release their fear of it. Her language was spiritual, but the mechanism she identified was precise. Your relationship with money mirrors your relationship with receiving. If you believe you must struggle to deserve, money becomes the instrument of that struggle. If you believe abundance is your natural state, money moves through your life the way water moves downhill. Same substance. The only variable is the channel you've carved for it. So why does changing that channel feel so difficult? Because the carving happened early and went deep. Your childhood home had an emotional economy running underneath the financial one. Money meant safety or meant fighting. Generosity meant love or meant manipulation. Saving meant wisdom or meant fear, dressed up as responsibility. You watched, absorbed, and built an entire operating system around those observations, all before your 10th birthday. And that operating system still runs every time you open your wallet. Neville Goddard approached this from a different angle. He taught that your assumptions about reality harden into facts. If you assume money is difficult, every interaction with it confirms that assumption. You notice the bills, miss the opportunities, you remember the losses, forget the gains. Your mind filters reality through the lens of whatever you've decided is true. Goddard's instruction was direct: change the assumption first. Feel the reality of abundance before the evidence arrives. Live in the end. That sounds simple on paper. In practice, it's one of the hardest things a person can do. Here's why. Your body keeps a ledger your conscious mind can't read. Every experience of lack left a mark. A tightness in the chest, a holding pattern in the breath, a low hum of anxiety when resources feel uncertain. You can repeat affirmations about wealth all day. If your body still braces every time you spend, the affirmation bounces off a wall of stored experience. The words say abundance. The nervous system says threat. This is where most manifestation teaching falls short. It addresses the mind and skips the body entirely. But the body is where beliefs actually live. That knot behind your sternum when rent is due, that's the belief. The shallow breathing when you calculate whether you can afford something, that's the program running. Reprogramming money as neutral energy requires working at both levels simultaneously. The mental work is about assumption. The somatic work is about release. Start with observation. For 1 week, watch every emotional response you have to money. Every single one. The micro flinch when you tap your card. The quick calculation you run before ordering at a restaurant. The way you feel when a friend mentions buying something expensive. Write these down. You're mapping the program. Seeing the code for the first time instead of just running it. You'll notice patterns almost immediately. Maybe spending triggers guilt regardless of the amount. Maybe receiving feels uncomfortable, like you owe something in return. Maybe you hoard small amounts while telling yourself you're generous. These patterns aren't character flaws. They're echoes of a child trying to stay safe in a household where money meant something it was never supposed to mean. The Hermetic tradition describes a principle that applies directly here. The principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As within, so without. Your external financial reality corresponds to your internal relationship with the energy money represents. Change the inner pattern, And the outer pattern shifts, sometimes gradually, sometimes with a speed that looks like coincidence to everyone except you. But changing the inner pattern requires more than positive thinking. It requires sitting with discomfort. When you notice that flinch at the checkout counter, stay with it. Breathe into it. Feel it fully without trying to fix it or explain it away. The sensation has a message, and the message is usually old. It belongs to a version of you that needed to be careful, vigilant, afraid. That version deserves to be gently released. Rumi wrote that the wound is the place where the light enters you. Your money wounds, the scarcity, the shame, the fear, are precisely the openings through which a new relationship with abundance can form. Every time you consciously choose to feel safe while spending, to receive without guilt, to witness wealth without envy, you're widening that channel Shin described. The energy flows more freely because you've removed another obstruction. There's a practice that accelerates this process. Each morning, before your habitual thought patterns boot up, spend 5 minutes in what Goddard called the state akin to sleep, that drowsy space between waking and full alertness. In that state, feel yourself handling money with ease. Feel the weight of a full wallet, the calm of paying bills without tension, the joy of generosity that costs you nothing emotionally. Make it sensory. Feel the texture of the experience. This matters because your subconscious mind, the part that actually runs the money program, processes feeling as fact. It draws no distinction between a vividly felt inner experience and an external event. 5 minutes of genuinely felt abundance rewires more than 5 hours of anxious budgeting. The budgeting addresses symptoms, the feeling addresses cause. Now, a fair objection, doesn't this ignore real-world financial constraints? If someone can barely cover groceries, is feel abundant really the advice? Yes and no. Financial strategy matters. Budgets, debt reduction, income growth. These are practical tools, and they have their place. The shift in perspective handles something practical strategy alone can never touch: the emotional charge that sabotages every plan you make. You've met people who earn well and still feel broke. You've met people with modest incomes who move through life with genuine ease around money. The difference lives in the program, not the paycheck. When you drain the emotional charge from money, when it becomes as neutral in your hands as a hammer or a glass of water, something counterintuitive happens. You make better decisions. Fear-based spending drops away. Shame-based hoarding loosens. You stop avoiding your bank balance and start engaging with it calmly, the way you check the weather before deciding what to wear. Money becomes information, a tool, a flow of energy you direct with intention rather than react to with emotion. This transformation takes patience. You didn't build your money programming in a weekend, and you won't dismantle it in one either. Some days you'll catch yourself mid-flinch and breathe through it beautifully. Other days the old program will run its full course before you even notice. Both are progress. Awareness itself is the solvent. Every moment, you witness the pattern without being consumed by it. The pattern weakens. There's a quiet test that tells you the work is landing. You'll find yourself in a situation that used to trigger anxiety. An unexpected expense, a conversation about earnings, a large purchase, and you'll notice something missing. The tightness won't come. The breath won't catch. You'll handle the moment with a calm that doesn't feel forced, because it isn't. The channel has widened. The energy is moving. Money was never the problem. Money was never the solution. Money was always the mirror, reflecting back whatever you believed about yourself and your right to receive. The reflection changes when you do, and you change one witnessed flinch, one conscious breath, one morning of felt abundance at a time. The mirror is already shifting. You just have to keep looking long enough to see it.